Under the dazzling stage lights, a 13-year-old girl clutched her well-worn violin and made a choice that stunned everyone. She would face her deepest fears head-on in a bold act of defiance against a world quick to judge. Ava Harding stepped forward, her resolve burning brighter than any critic's sneer. On Stories, we witness the stirring beginning of a journey where a fragile dream transforms into a courageous stand against prejudice and doubt. Growing up in a cramped, time-worn apartment, Ava found solace in the gentle melodies of an heirloom violin, a treasured gift from her grandfather that carried whispers of hope in every scratch and scuff. Despite a lifetime of quiet struggles and the sting of harsh words, she clung to the belief that music was the language of the soul. As the spotlight bore down and the harsh laughter of renowned judges filled the room, her heart pounded with both terror and a fierce longing for vindication. In that electrifying moment, the quiet girl summoned an unexpected inner strength, determined to silence the critics and prove her worth not only to them, but, more importantly, to herself. What will become of her dream when the weight of judgment meets the power of her passion? Stay tuned to find out. Ava's journey was defined by moments of quiet bravery and inner transformation that shook her very soul. As a timid child raised in a modest, time-worn apartment, she discovered solace in the soulful sound of an heirloom violin, a relic passed down from a beloved grandparent who once instilled in her the belief that music could speak the unspeakable. Every scratch on that instrument held memories of whispered encouragement and dreams too fragile to be voiced. Yet, in a world that often dismissed her tender spirit, the violin became both her refuge and her silent declaration of hope. In the beginning, Ava was overwhelmed by a life that stifled her inner light. At school, she sat quietly in the back, her eyes lowered as if trying to vanish from view. The laughter and dismissive glances of her peers chipped away at her confidence, leaving her feeling isolated and misunderstood. She clung to her violin as if it were the last vestige of a world where she belonged, a companion that never faltered, even when her voice did. In those early years, each melancholic note she played was not merely a sound, but a prayer for acceptance in a place that seemed determined to silence her. As she matured into her teenage years, the challenges became more insidious. At 13, the weight of unspoken judgment pressed down on her shoulders, and every new day threatened to eclipse her fragile hope. The announcement of a national talent competition sparked a tumult of emotions in Ava. The opportunity to showcase her gift both thrilled and terrified her. The thought of stepping into a glaring spotlight was almost unbearable. Despite her inner turmoil, the spark of determination kindled by the memory of her grandparents' gentle wisdom pushed her toward the stage. The moment arrived when the familiar comfort of her quiet practice room was replaced by the blinding glare of a vast auditorium. As she hesitated backstage, her heart pounded with a mix of dread and resolve. "You have something unique inside you," she whispered to herself, though the echoes of doubt were loud and relentless. Among the eminent figures assembled to judge the performance, a stern producer and a renowned singer exchanged amused glances upon noticing her timid appearance. Their mocking whispers stung like icy daggers. Yet, even as the laughter swelled around her, a subtle, resilient voice inside her urged, "This is your moment." With trembling hands, she carried her cherished violin onto the stage. Every step felt like an eternity, each footfall an act of defiance against a destiny preordained by ridicule. The moment she lifted her bow, time itself seemed to hesitate. But then her nerves betrayed her. The first hesitant note quivered in the vast silence, and a harsh, discordant sound burst forth. The laughter from the audience was immediate and merciless. The tidal wave of scorn threatened to drown her spirit. Amid the cacophony, a searing humiliation gripped her, and the weight of every disparaging remark seemed to collapse upon her like a suffocating shroud. Barely holding back tears, Ava attempted to persist, her fingers scrambling to coax beauty from the instrument. However, every effort was met with further mockery. A particularly caustic remark from one of the judges, delivered with a cold smile, sliced through her already fragile composure. "Perhaps music isn't meant for you," the judge sneered, a remark that reverberated in her ears long after she fled the stage in a blur of tears and shattered hopes. Backstage, hidden away from the cruel spotlight, she slumped against a wall, overwhelmed by despair. Her world, once filled with the promise of melody, had become a prison of silence and self-doubt. In that darkest hour, a beacon of genuine care emerged. Evelyn, a compassionate and celebrated violinist, had observed the incident with a heavy heart. With a gentle knock on Ava's door at home, she stepped into the small, humble living space and spoke softly. "I see the pain in your eyes, and I remember the sound of hope in every note you play. Let me help you find that strength again." Her words, tender and reassuring, slowly began to dissolve the barrier of fear and self-loathing that had built up inside Ava. Under Evelyn's attentive guidance, Ava embarked on a long, arduous process of healing. Day by day, the sorrow that had once silenced her began to give way to tentative expressions of courage. They spent countless afternoons immersed in practice, where each session became a battleground for reclaiming her lost confidence. During these long hours, the transformation was subtle but profound. Ava's fingers, once trembling and unsteady, began to find a rhythm, a delicate dance that intertwined vulnerability with newfound determination. Music, Evelyn would remind her, is not about perfection. It's about expressing every emotion, every scar, every hope. Let the world hear the real you. With every lesson, Ava rediscovered parts of herself she thought had been erased by cruelty and neglect. The silent encouragement from her mother and the wide-eyed admiration from her younger brother became the gentle percussion to her emerging melody of resilience. Yet, the scars of public humiliation still haunted her. The viral footage of her faltering performance became a cruel emblem of failure, echoing through social media with unyielding force. Hurtful nicknames and biting memes circulated relentlessly, deepening the wound of her shattered pride. Despite the supportive cocoon that Evelyn, her family, and a few steadfast friends wove around her, each negative comment was a reminder of a moment when she had been stripped bare by the world's judgment. In quiet moments of introspection, Ava wrestled with a bitter taste of regret and self-reproach. "Am I destined to be defined by my mistakes?" she wondered. Her inner dialogue had tumbled to fear and longing for redemption. As time passed, however, an unexpected ally emerged from the shadows. A young piano prodigy named Caleb. His presence was a quiet counterpoint to the noise of doubt that had long filled her life. Caleb, known for his soulful interpretations and an uncanny ability to translate emotion into sound, had himself battled the demons of harsh criticism. When he approached Ava one serene afternoon, his voice was gentle but determined. "I understand the agony of feeling underestimated. I, too, have faced the darkness of ridicule, but together we can transform our pain into a powerful expression of who we truly are." His words resonated deeply, igniting a flicker of hope that began to kindle into a roaring flame. Together, they devised a plan to create a performance that would not only silence the naysayers, but, more importantly, liberate them both from the chains of past failures. Their clandestine rehearsals became a fusion of raw emotion and intricate artistry. With each practice session, Ava's resolve strengthened, her playing evolving from hesitant notes to a language of defiance and truth. Caleb's steady, passionate piano harmonies intertwined with the haunting strains of her violin, weaving a tapestry of sound that conveyed both the anguish of the past and the promise of a redefined future. Their duet was more than a musical composition. It was an outcry against the relentless cruelty that had once threatened to drown them. In quiet yet resolute voices, they would affirm, "We are not defined by a single moment of weakness. Our true strength lies in our ability to rise again." The day of their planned comeback performance arrived like the climax of a long-forgotten dream. Backstage, the air was thick with anticipation and anxiety. Ava's heart pounded like a drum, each beat echoing her determination to reclaim her identity. Amid the swirl of backstage activity, she exchanged a look with Caleb, a silent vow that they would not let the ghosts of yesterday steal this moment. "We have come too far to let fear win," Caleb murmured, squeezing her hand gently. "Let your music tell the story of your journey. Every painful step, and every triumphant heartbeat. Stepping onto the stage once more, Ava felt the weight of 1,000 eyes, each one a witness to her metamorphosis. The atmosphere was electric, charged with a mixture of skepticism and tentative hope. The familiar glare of the harsh judges was softened by a collective curiosity from the audience. As the first notes began to flow, there was a palpable shift in the room, a small, almost imperceptible pause as the sound washed over the crowd. Every chord Ava played vibrated with the resonance of her lived experiences, the fear of rejection, the sting of humiliation, and the slow but unstoppable ascent towards self-acceptance. During the performance, moments of dialogue punctuated the silence between the notes. Caleb's encouraging whispers, "Remember, every note is yours." Ava's quiet retorts, "I will not be silenced," filled the space with an intimacy that reached every listener. The music, raw and unadorned, spoke of resilience and the profound truth that beauty is born from struggle. In each crescendo, Ava was not only challenging the derision of her critics, but also affirming her right to be heard, to be seen, and to matter. As the performance reached its apex, the audience's initial skepticism gave way to a collective, almost tangible reverence. The harshness of past condemnations faded into a distant echo, replaced by a rapt attention to the honest outpouring of emotion on stage. In that luminous moment, Ava's soul bared itself to the world. Every imperfection, every scar became a brushstroke in a masterpiece of human courage. The judges, whose earlier mockery had once seemed insurmountable, now wore expressions of stunned reflection. The stern, once unyielding critic even found his hardened features softening into a look of regret and wonder. After the final resounding note faded into silence, there was a heartbeat of stillness, a pause that held the promise of transformation. Then, as if stirred by the gravity of what they had witnessed, the audience erupted in a wave of applause that seemed to wash over the stage like a tidal surge. The judges' earlier sneers had been replaced by hesitant claps, which soon escalated into an ovation of genuine respect. One of the once dismissive evaluators stepped forward, his voice quivering with unaccustomed humility. "I realize now that I was wrong. Your performance was more than music. It was a declaration of your inner strength." Another added, "I deeply regret my harsh words. Today you have shown us the true meaning of perseverance." Their apologies, though belated, carried the weight of sincere remorse and the promise of a new understanding. In the aftermath, as the noise of the applause gradually subsided, Ava stood alone at the center of the stage, enveloped in a quiet glow of triumph. Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears, not of sorrow this time, but of relief and empowerment. The journey had been long and fraught with heartache, yet she had emerged as a testament to the human spirit's capacity for renewal. With Caleb by her side and the steadfast support of Evelyn, her family, and those who had finally seen her true worth, Ava embraced the applause as a symphony of validation. That day marked a turning point not only in her personal narrative, but also in the broader conversation about talent and resilience. Ava's story, broadcast through Sonata Stories, ignited discussions about the often ruthless nature of public judgment and the importance of compassion over criticism. It served as a vivid reminder that every individual, regardless of past failures, holds the potential to transform adversity into art. Reflecting on her journey in a quiet interview later that evening, Ava shared, "I've learned that every setback is a stepping stone to a greater version of yourself. I won't let anyone else define who I am." Her words resonated with countless viewers who saw in her struggle the mirror of their own battles. As she continued to speak, her voice grew steadier, carrying a message of hope and the enduring power of self-belief. "Every note I play now is a promise that I am more than my past, more than my mistakes. I am my own voice, and I will sing my truth." The transformation was not simply a return to the stage. It was a profound metamorphosis of spirit. Each moment of despair had been transmuted into a step toward liberation, every harsh comment into a spark that fueled her determination. With every performance, Ava demonstrated that true artistry is found not in flawless technique, but in the honest expression of one's inner journey. Her renewed confidence and unwavering resolve became a beacon for all who had ever been dismissed or doubted. In the end, the stage was no longer a battleground of scorn, but a sanctuary where the beauty of resilience shone through. Ava's music had rewritten the narrative of her life, transforming public mockery into a celebration of individuality and courage. And as the final echoes of her performance faded into memory, a quiet certainty remained that the power to overcome lies within each of us, waiting to be unleashed in the face of our greatest challenges. The transformation of Ava's journey has illuminated a powerful truth. Our failures and setbacks are merely chapters in a much larger narrative of growth. Each painful moment, from the harsh glare of ridicule on stage to the quiet solace of supportive practice sessions, contributed to a rebirth of her inner strength and self-belief. No longer shackled by past missteps, Ava embraced a new perspective where every note played was an honest reflection of her resilient spirit. In facing the relentless tide of criticism and self-doubt, she discovered that true artistry lies in vulnerability and perseverance. The compassion shown by mentors, the unwavering love from her family, and even the unexpected encouragement from those who once scoffed helped reshape her understanding of success. Ava's renewed confidence stands as a testament to the idea that personal worth isn't dictated by the opinions of others, but is nurtured through relentless passion and courage. As the final chord lingered in the air, a gentle echo of a hard-won victory, her eyes sparkled with hope and quiet resolve. If you found inspiration in Ava's remarkable evolution, please like and share.